to the track, the wall, makes the leap, and makes the catch! Amazing catch by Junior!
He got it! A perfect game! 13 strikeouts!
Special moment for Barry Bonds.
Swinging a long drive, deep to right, going, goodbye! He has done it! He has changed the game of the night with one swing of his bats!
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the newest and best baseball podcast in the whole universe. Welcome to Champions Adjust. This is episode 3. Thanks for tuning in again. Hopefully you watched, viewed, listened, whatever, to episodes 1 and 2. We're really just getting rolling here, finding our groove on this podcast. And I'm excited to talk a little baseball today with my co-host, David Bodson.
How's it going, y'all?
And Sandra Bryant. What's up, fellas? How are we feeling today?
If you did not listen to episodes 1 and 2, you are a square.
Oh, jeez.
And we're aware of that by now.
Oh, no.
So let's get that out of the way.
Yeah, start from the beginning.
How are we feeling? What's new?
I feel good. It's
Happy Cinco de Mayo.
Happy Cinco de Mayo? Mayonnaise?
You're not going to be listening to this on Cinco de Mayo, but today is Cinco de Mayo.
It is Cinco de Mayo.
For reference.
And for reference, I am engaged to a woman from Mexico. So today's a special day for nobody in her family because Mexicans don't celebrate this holiday.
Really? Is that true?
That is very true. There is a town in Mexico that started this. But it is, by all purposes, an American holiday.
Do they roll their eyes when we celebrate?
Kind of, and they did have me over for tacos and margaritas because it's my holiday, so they threw it for me.
Any excuse we get to drink some Dos Equis.
Right.
But yeah, it was a great excuse for margaritas and incredible tacos. My God, very good barbecue.
Nice. I had pasta.
Yeah.
And a margarita tonight.
Hey, congratulations.
My life.
I haven't eaten dinner yet, so thank you guys for that.
Well, we hosted you and had dinner for you.
Okay.
So.
Do we want to dive into that, dude? I mean, I'll rock and roll with this right now, okay?
No, I'm good.
Okay. I was working. I had a couple of groups before this. Then you guys came over. Now we're going to record this pod. Mm-hmm. And then probably after, I'm going to order some dinner.
Great.
Hopefully, unless we run real long. And then we'll see how the cookie crumbles.
I get it. You can have a cookie that crumbles.
Sure.
Yeah, cool.
Okay.
Let's move on.
We're gonna start exactly where we said we were at the end of the last episode. We told the viewers, listeners to kind of do their little research, due diligence on Anthony Rizzo, and this is becoming a real good fun segment here for us on Champions Adjust. Hall of Fame or not?
Yes.
So we're going to start with Sandra Bryant, who was the one who originally decided we would go with Anthony Rizzo next. What's your take? What's your view? Give us some stuff.
Yeah, I just thought of him as kind of like a borderline guy, so I'm going to shoot from the hip because I haven't done any research. I have a kind of a vague idea of what his numbers probably look like to this point in his career, but again, I'm going to go back to the longevity thing. I think Anthony Rizzo's on track. I would say he's probably going to play till he's like 36, 37 for those career numbers to make the case. But yeah, man, I think he's got everything it takes at this point in his career. What is he, 32?
I'm not sure. It doesn't say his age on here, but I know he's been playing for 10 seasons.
Yeah, I would say he's probably 32. He's put up consistent numbers his entire career. He's not the best defensive first baseman. I don't know if he has any gold gloves.
He's got 4 gold gloves.
4?
Yeah.
So he's pretty
He's
decent.
a great defensive first baseman. Okay. Yeah, man. I think maybe not first ballot, but he's certainly on track unless something happens, which is interesting.
He's 31, by the way.
Okay, so you're off. Something came out not too long ago about him, this maybe being his last year with the Cubs. what happens
Trying
from
to train
there.
for years, yeah.
A lot of times you see guys, been with one team for their entire career, and then they, that team is no longer interested in them, or like they're not going to re-sign them or whatever, and then they like tend to fade off a little bit. So it'll be interesting to see the next few years. But regardless if he's a Cub or a Yankee or whatever, and my prediction is he will be a Yankee next year.
Okay. Set here.
Yeah.
May 5th, 2021.
Yeah, so we'll see. But yeah, I think he's on track.
Bodson, thoughts, comments, concerns?
He struck out Freddie Freeman, so yes.
So based on that single achievement in his career.
And everything that he said, but on top of that.
He's basically a two-way player.
Yeah, he's basically a two-way player.
Shohei Ohtani-esque.
No, his numbers are solid. He's 30 years old. He has 4 Gold Gloves. He's been in the All-Star game 3 times? 4?
3 All-Star appearances.
3 times? More research than he did. No, and I think that like you said, if he's in the same position that he's been playing for the last few years, I think he needs to be playing until he's 37, 38.
Yeah.
Is what I think. Needs to get another 1 or 2 Gold Gloves, 2 or 3 All-Star appearances. Same trajectory, hits 3,000 hits, which he's not too far off. He's at 2,300 now. What's he at?
No,
he's got 1,200 hits.
1,200?
That's a red flag right there.
That's a huge red flag from my research. But if you can get to, 2,400, maybe even 3,000, gets 3,000 out, absolutely.
And his home run count is important too. So he's at 234.
Yeah.
So any guy that eclipses 300 home runs, you got to give him a look. Career batting average
270.
Batting average is no longer important apparently, but
Home runs aren't necessarily as important anymore either. You look at WAR, you look at
his career WAR is 36.
Yeah.
I don't know what Pujols' career WAR is. Not the comparable, but 36 career WAR sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
So ultimately, I think we're all in this. I mean, you and I are in the same boat. We haven't heard your standpoint, but I
right. So you guys are both yay.
Yeah,
we're both yay, but not if he retired.
He's no Tim Lincecum.
He's no Tim. Lincecum.
Big Tim.
He's no Crawford.
So you guys are saying at this point in his career, if he plays the same way for the next 8 to 10 years, he's got a chance to be in the Hall of Fame.
6 to 8, yeah.
4 to 7.
4 to 7.
6 to 8.
6 to 9.
So we'll say anywhere between 4 and 11 years.
Okay, great.
Yeah. It doesn't even have to be it doesn't have to be consistent, but he just can't fall off a cliff.
I'll tell you what
after
hurts
next
him.
year.
I apologize for interrupting you. I'll tell you what hurts him is that he doesn't really have a personality type. That he has a very Mike Trout-esque personality type. That he's not super flashy. He's not super loud. People don't necessarily know who he is as a person, and as such, he's not extremely marketable.
Yeah, but that has no bearing on Hall of Fame.
In theory, but as we talked about last week, it might.
Right? Writers like personality. Writers like
personality, right?
I would argue that he has. And I just interrupted you. I would argue that he has more personality than you may perceive. I don't know, like him and Chris Bryant.
Sure.
And when Rossi was on the squad, they had that Grandpa Rossi thing. Yes. And now he's their manager. That trio is pretty funny if you dig into it a little bit.
What I loved about their World Series year is they went into the dugout and they had Rizzo mic'd up, and they were in the last inning, and he was looking at Rossi. He goes, "Dude, I'm so effing nervous right now." And I loved that little look behind the scenes.
Yeah. I think he's a pretty cool dude.
Yeah.
But anyways,
I didn't realize you had dinner with him, but that's cool.
Yeah, a couple times. Just
That's interesting that you say that.
Chinese buffet.
Yeah. So,
I gotta be actor.
Yeah. Okay. But back to me and my whether I say yay or nay.
I'm just kidding.
Okay. Put your phone away, please. Focus on what we're doing. But I'm gonna just mention some career numbers. I know we said them, but I'm gonna say them a little bit so people can hear them and understand them. WAR career 36. Okay, 1,200 home runs, almost 240 home runs.
1,200 hits.
Sorry, 1,200 hits. Sorry, he'd be the greatest player of all time. Home runs is almost 240, and batting average is 270.
Bonds could have done it if he'd done steroids his entire career.
So I say I'm in the same ballpark and page as both of you guys, right? If he does the same thing for the next 5 to 7 years, he gets at least consideration for being a Hall of Famer.
Nice.
I think winning an MVP is like a huge thing for me in terms of Hall of Fame status, right? Because at least one time in your career, you were the best player in the league.
Yeah.
I think I take that into consideration a lot when looking at an overall player and their performance over their career.
Especially position players, because not often a pitcher gets a MVP, but like Cy Young. Yeah, the MVP will definitely get you over that hump, I think.
I think that's important. But again, there's obviously those random kind of guys who just like had an amazing 1 year and then they kind of didn't do anything before or after. So there's also that consideration to look at. But I think when you look at someone, Rizzo, who's put up numbers consistently for a while now, adding an MVP to his resume would really put a stamp on that.
Yeah,
in his whole career.
What you can do if he's not a Cub?
What?
Which you can probably do when he's not a Cub.
Why do you think he can't do it as a Cub?
I don't, but I don't think he's going to be a Cub very much longer. So.
Okay, so that kind of segues into my next question. How important is it, or how do you view a player who stays with the same team his whole career or kind of jumps around? Does that matter to you? And looking at them as their career trajectory, not talking really Hall of Fame, but just saying, is that something you look at as a player? Like, is it cool that they stayed their whole career one team, or is it fine that they jumped around? Like, what's that mean to you guys?
I would love to hear y'all's opinion of this. It does not really bother me either way if somebody goes and chases money or decides to take a pay cut and stay. Obviously there's a business side to it, and there's a side of it where you really don't know somebody's life. Albert Pujols was offered a lot more money to leave St. Louis, and St. Louis said, well, no, he has declining numbers, so we're not going to offer him that kind of money. And St. Louis happened to be right, and his numbers suffered his first year because he was leaving. He left his family behind, and so a lot of people won't leave because of that reason. But on the flip side, if you're playing for the Milwaukee Brewers and your wife doesn't want to raise her kids in Wisconsin and rather go to LA instead, then I can't really fault a player for that either. Mm-hmm. So it's really tough for me to. You don't know a certain situation of a human being when they make a decision, and I think fans lose sight of that a lot.
Yeah, a situation like that is absolutely understandable. I mean, Pujols first ballot, no doubter. And yeah, I mean, it worked out, and St. Louis fans still love him. They still have the utmost respect for him. The only situation I can really condemn a guy for, or he's lost me on the Hall of Fame, is where it's clear that he's a problem in the clubhouse or teammates don't like him, and regardless of his performance on the field, he bounces around too much. But you don't really see guys have a ton of success when they're in that position. I can't really think of a guy right now that has bounced around a ton in his career and we're having this conversation about, that would be tough for me to find. So yeah, I mean, a guy that's played for 3 or 4 teams and puts up all the numbers, I don't see anything wrong with this. Not keeping it out of the Hall for me, but I would be interested to see, or to look in the numbers of current Hall of Famers and the average teams that they play for.
Well,
there's something to be said about a guy that builds his career with one team and continues with that team, and I do think it is cool for a Chipper Jones. I'm a little biased, but a Chipper Jones or Jeter, overrated or not, guys like that who stick with the same team, finish their career with the hometown squad,
right?
But it's not necessarily a huge factor for me.
Well, and then we can bring this up on a different day, but 1971 is the year I was looking up just now. Curtis Flood basically ended his career to help create free agency. So we look at the Hall of Fame, and players were essentially owned until the early 70s when Curtis Flood, St. Louis Cardinal outfielder, basically decided, hey, I'm not going to play for this team because I don't want to be owned. And we can talk about it in a different episode.
Is he a Hall of Famer?
I don't believe. Is he a Hall of Famer?
I don't know, Aaron. What do you think?
Who?
About the point we're talking about.
Oh yeah, I think it's rare that a baseball player plays for more than say 3 or 4 teams, especially if they're a high value player, because we're giving out such long contracts, right?
Yeah.
And so if you're really a superstar, you're not going to play for 3 or 4 teams. You might play for 2.
Yeah.
Because contracts now are 10 years, 11 years, right?
Yeah.
And that's the bulk of someone's career. like Pujols, right? Played for 2 teams.
Yep.
You know, Trout and Tatis and all these guys just signed 10, 11-year contracts. Yes. And so it's very rare that you see someone in any sports field play for one team for their entire career. Like, look at Tom Brady. Everyone thought he was going to be a Patriot for his whole life.
Yep.
Right? And then he goes and wins a Super Bowl with someone else.
Yeah.
But I still think people associate his whole career with the Patriots.
Yeah.
Pudge Rodriguez,
you know,
associate with, but he was
Rangers.
also a Marlin and a Tiger.
Yeah, I mean, if Brady had to go into Canton with a hat on, it would be a Patriots hat on.
Right, for sure.
Depends on how many Super Bowls he wins in.
Yeah, that's true. He could play till he's 50.
But I just, to your point, I think there's really something to say with someone about their personal character, how they go about their business, that they stay with one team.
Yeah.
You know, it means that obviously they're not just a fantastic ball player, but they're a good clubhouse guy because other guys want him. Maybe they're willing to take a pay cut. Instead of getting $30 million, they get $20 million, right? Whatever that case may be.
Yeah.
But, and to the same point that Bodson said, just like a lot of the stuff that I do in the mental health world, right? You literally have no idea what's going on in someone's personal life. And definitely as sports fans, we lose sight of that because, like, this is my team, this is my town. How is he going to leave me, right? But we really have no stake in that at all. So, but we feel a personal kind of...
They have kids and they have a family.
You know, but they have lives and they're trying to make decisions that are best for them and their future. And they're more often than not making more decisions, not just for themselves, but for everyone around them.
Yeah.
Because that's what happens when you make that kind of money. You can really help a lot of people in your life. And so there was no concrete answer that I gave to my own question. But there's a lot of factors that go into it. And I think sports fans in general can do a better job of understanding that moving forward when their player leaves or makes a decision that's based on their personal needs or whatever that is.
Yeah.
So
100%. To answer your question, by the way, Curtis Floyd is not in the Hall of Fame. However, there's a huge push for the last 5-6 years for writers to write him in because of what he's done for the game of baseball.
Nice.
I.e. helped create free agency by bombing his own career. Mind you, 14 years into his career.
I've got a candidate for next week.
Yeah.
You guys can...
all right, bring it on.
McCutchen.
Okay.
Ooh.
Andrew McCutchen, Hall of Fame or not?
Andrew McCutchen.
Episode 4.
I'm actually baffled for a guy who's really was friends with him. And we can bring him up. And be like, hey, did you think that? I don't know.
You had dinner with him?
I had dinner with him.
If it wouldn't be...
There's no point.
It would not be an episode...
I paused because I knew there was nothing there.
It wouldn't be an episode of Champions of Just without the David Bonson name drop.
Yeah.
So there it is.
Oh, no.
I'm not done yet, guys.
Oh,
Listen,
jeez.
I've been made fun of for my entire life for name dropping. I'm not done yet today.
No one's making fun of you. We love you just the way you are.
Oh, you hit me earlier.
Yeah, because you got a little out of hand.
Did I?
You got a little
You
out
got
of
a little
hand.
out of hand. Well, put 2 hands on me.
Okay.
Okay. Don't do it again, please. Ow.
But we did ask for a bit of suggestions from episode 1 on how we can improve, how we can do better, what should we talk about. We're still taking those, so leave those comments on either the YouTube channel or DM our social media channels. But we did get one suggestion about our Hall of Fame conversation, which was about admitting people to the Hall of Fame who aren't specifically baseball players. How do we feel about that? Like, so they didn't play the game, but they had a lot to do for the game.
So I do believe that was a recommendation from one of my friends. So
I think it was my brother, actually.
Was it your brother? I think
It could have been both.
Could have been both.
Either way,
I'll let you take this then.
Either way, we appreciate that you watched and we appreciate that you sent in suggestions, and so we're going to try to answer those now. So go ahead.
No, your brother.
Yeah, I mean, if you have a massive impact on the game, absolutely. I think there's umpires in the Hall of Fame. There's managers in the Hall of Fame. There are people who've had an influence on the game who are in the Hall of Fame. I think probably in other sports more than baseball. But yeah, I'm all for it. It's tough to like quantify their impact.
Right.
You know, if they're not, obviously putting up numbers on the field. But there should certainly be a separate category. Maybe there should be 5 guys on every ballot that are candidates for Hall of Fame outside of, just being players. So yeah, I think there's certainly room for it. I think it would make the game more interesting. I think it would incentivize people to, have an impact on the game that are not necessarily players, managers, umpires, so, whatever. But my answer is yes.
Yes, I'm with you. I think owners of teams.
Yeah, for sure. Those guys are businessmen. And,
people who are dealing the trades, people who are building teams up from scratch, like
agents.
Building a farm system, finding diamonds in the rough. Yeah, agents, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, Scott Boras, that guy should be in the Hall of Fame, right?
Depends on who you ask.
Okay, yeah, it depends on who you ask. You gave me a dirty look. Scott Boras, his resume is insane.
No, there's no doubt. And he is the ultimate player's advocate. However, a lot of fans also would come back and disagree because a lot of teams can't afford their players anymore because of Scott Boras and what he's done for the game. However, from the player's perspective, my gosh, $335 million contracts being signed now because of what Scott Boras has done for the game.
I think the question you should ask is Scott Boras good for the game of baseball? And I think my answer would be absolutely.
I think we should have a whole segment about that.
Yeah.
Because it really, again, depends.
He's not the only one,
but
that guy is like, what other agent?
He's a
don't
Drew
answer this, but what other agent can you name in
MLB.
baseball? Boz and I don't want to hear it.
I can't name.
No, I can't either.
I have friends
I can name
people and
I can name Trevor Bauer's agent, Rachel Luba.
Oh yeah,
There you go.
Yeah,
Only because we did like a Jewish fantasy baseball draft together, and she was on the Zoom call.
that's cool.
It was really cool, actually.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And also Trevor Bauer's cool, and he always puts over the people that work for him and help him do all this stuff. And she's one of the people.
awesome.
So
Disappointed in his cutting off his whole 1-year contract deal that he said. He said you can literally kick me in the nuts or like punch me in the nuts if I ever sign anything other than a 1-year deal, because he just wanted to go to a contender every year.
Yeah.
And he just signed like a long-term deal.
Yeah.
With the Dodgers?
That's a conversation for another
contender,
time.
though.
I mean, he's stupid for not signing a long-term deal.
Yeah.
But his whole bit was, I'm going to sign 1-year deals, for the rest of my career, and you can kick me in the nuts or punch me in the nuts or whatever. And now I want to.
Then we get confirmation.
Trevor Bauer covering our shows. We can punch you in the nuts.
Like, somebody, you deserve it.
Live nut shots.
I feel like that'd be the best podcast / Trevor Bauer vlog ever.
Yeah, he's probably had a few inquiries for that already, but
Guys, did I tell you that I know somebody who knows Andrew McCutcheon yet?
I don't. Did you hear anything?
the commercial break.
Yeah.
Commercial break.
That was weird. So I think that's a cool segment that we can add. Talking about sports agents and the baseball salary and what's happened over the last 10 years.
Absolutely.
So we'll put a pin in that for right now.
We'll double click on that later.
Man, I love that saying, dude.
Do not steal his sayings.
Dude,
My
I won't.
God,
I
how many
won't.
times you got to tell
I
you?
won't, but
We'll double click on it later.
Dude,
Let me
Listen to the
double
first
click on what
episode.
we recently were talking about. Yes, absolutely.
my God.
Baseball Hall of Fame has specific.
Guys, I'm really trying my hardest.
Specific. I'm talking.
You sure are. You sure are talking.
Oh my God. Okay, you go ahead.
Go, bub.
Anyway, so absolutely, I agree with what both of you are saying. Is you don't have to be a baseball player to have a lasting impact on the game of baseball, and I think it is arrogant to say you have to have played the game of baseball to have a lasting impact, because you look at or across sports. Look at Eric Spoelstra is a great example. He was not a basketball player. The head coach now for 12 years, 13 years of the Miami Heat. And he started off in the video room, and his dad is a guru of ticket sales, group ticket sales guru, and he's the son of a ticket salesman, and he started off in the video room, and he worked his way up, and then now he's a 13-year head coach of an NBA team. So he's had a lasting impact on a game without playing the game, and I think it's silly to say, hey, you have to have been a player to have an impact on this game that we all call in a sense home. Scouts deserve the opportunity to have a lasting impact. Coaches have a lasting impact. I think agents have obviously had an impact, whether it be positive or negative, and depends on who you ask. But they all have a spot in somewhere in Cooperstown, in my opinion.
Vin Scully, announcers.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Announcers make the game. I mean, their calls,
Jack Buck,
their
Joe
calls are
Buck.
famous.
Yeah, and I don't think there's any question around if Vin Scully will get in the Hall, but
I agree.
yeah.
Can we talk real quick? Are y'all pro or
Anti?
anti? This is the word I'm looking for. Thank you. Pro or anti Joe Buck?
As an announcer?
Yeah.
I like him.
Love him.
I love Joe Buck, and I think it's rare that we get three guys in the same room that like him. I think it's the nostalgia.
Is it really? People don't like him?
Yeah, people.
I think it's more
I hear
for
a
like
lot
his
more.
football. Like he does a lot of sports, right?
Yeah.
Because he's a hard worker.
Oh, Joe Buck
guy would
Joe
put-
Buck's the man, and his voice, like the nostalgia of like hearing his voice. I just think MLB playoffs.
Agreed.
And when I hear Joe Buck calling a game, I'm like, man, I am fired up about this game.
What impresses me most about him is that he'll walk into a noon NFL game in October on Fox, national televised event, and he will have done his 3 days of research, and he'll kill it. And then he'll get on a plane and go to a 7 p.m. World Series game and have done his research and kill it.
Yeah,
and it's just,
cool.
that's impressive that a human being can do that. And how much work goes into what he can do, and how much sleep does he really get to perform for us, the audience.
Yeah, he's the man.
I'm glad that we all agree on that.
I'm not ashamed to say.
Yeah, because I Gary, like ever since I was a kid, I hear his voice, I hear MLB playoffs.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
It's nostalgic.
It gives me goosebumps.
Aaron, do you
Like said.
have an opinion on the agent conversation before we move on?
On the agent?
Or what were we talking about earlier? People outside of baseball. Or did you
Oh,
go
yeah,
into
I
that?
completely agree. Like,
Outside of playing, I should
like
say.
the sport itself is shaped by so many people that are not just on the field, and like they have to be recognized for the things that they add to the game. I guess, yeah, I totally understand that the players play, right? Sure, but the people that train them or mentored them or found them or put them on the team or got their contracts or are calling the game or making it exciting, all of these additions to the sport of baseball make it better, and they should be considered to be put in a place where you're enshrined for the rest of your life as being the best at what you did. So I think we have to take that in consideration. We have to look at those people. I don't know if there should be like an overarching just general sports hall of fame for those kinds of people, or you put like a separate like section in each sports hall of fame for those kinds of players, or you just add them, or those kind of people, or you just add them into where everyone else goes, because they're just as important, they're just as valuable, and they're just as meaningful to the game.
Yeah, I think the players would agree too.
Absolutely, they would have to, or else they're admitting that they're doing everything on their own, which is not true.
Yes.
Perfect. Good chat, boys.
Did we give a shout out to our sponsor yet?
This podcast is officially sponsored, unofficially sponsored, officially, unofficially, officially, unofficially, officially, unofficially, super, super duper unofficially sponsored by Bud Light. God's water. God's water. God's water.
The nectar of the gods. Shout out Cody Bustamante.
That was pretty good. Okay.
Oh my god.
Drink
that was
responsibly.
The greatest thing ever. Yeah. What am I drinking? A Baltimore Blonde.
Yeah, someone left that here.
Baltimore.
Okay, so we're going to get into a pretty touchy subject here.
Yeah, this fires me up.
This is a David Bodson conversation, so we're going to let him take the reins here.
I don't want to talk too much about it. 'Cause
We're not going to talk too much about it, right? But we're going to touch briefly on it because, we can't shy away from the hard conversations.
Sure.
And so this conversation is about Roberto Alomar and his recent allegations, his Hall of Fame stuff, and his overall what we're talking about.
Well,
So
and when we discussed this last week, and I brought him up like a day before all this came out, like the day before all this came out, and we talked about why are certain people who don't get along with the media not in the Hall of Fame, but people who, like Roberto Alomar, who might not be the greatest human being, and people have known that for 30 years, got inducted in 2011 because he's a great baseball player, but he's not there because of his ethics. He's not there because he's a good human being. He was great, and he didn't mess up that bad. He spit on an umpire in 1996. It turns out that afterwards, he said about the umpire, hey, I used to like this umpire until his son died, and then he got bitter.
The umpire got bitter?
He said about the umpire got bitter once his 8-year-old son died. Does that scream to the baseball writers who inducted him in 2011, good human being? But now, we come a day after I mentioned him for all of that, turns out that he has, somebody has come up forward about him sexually assaulting her.
So as such, he has stepped away from the game. He was fired from the Blue Jays. He resigned from the board of the Hall of Fame. He was fired from Major League Baseball in general, and he's now on the ineligible list, which means if you don't know about the ineligible list, you're not necessarily banned, but you're ineligible to be employed in Major League Baseball unless they decide otherwise. You're essentially banned.
Good.
And what the Hall of Fame has done is said, well, he's still going to be enshrined in the Hall of Fame because of what he did as a player, not because of what he's done since. Which begs the question, okay, what about all the other players who were great ball players who you might not like that much as human beings? If Roberto Alomar is still allowed in there. And to me, my end-all be-all is how you treat other human beings. It costs $0.00, and I apologize for the rant, but I feel very passionately about this, and I have for years, and it costs $0.00 to treat other people with kindness and respect and be friendly. And if you can't do that, what does that say about you as a person? And if you're going to neglect other human beings from the Hall of Fame for those same reasons, you weren't that nice, or you did this, or you played in the wrong era, then what about a guy who sexually assaulted women, who also spit on an umpire and then made comments in the media about his son being dead, and thus he's not that nice of a guy anymore, the person whose son died? Why? And then the Hall of Fame comes out and says, yeah, he's still there. And I have a huge problem with that, and I think that goes into my issues with what it takes to get into the Hall of Fame and what it takes to stay in there. And you're looking at Pete Rose, who gambled on the game, but nothing's ever come about his treatment of other human beings.
Well, some things have, but yeah.
But fair.
Nothing uncommon.
Nothing, yeah, and fair enough. But what makes what he did so much worse than what Roberto Alomar is being accused of, in fairness?
I agree.
But has definitely done in the past.
I agree. I mean, if you're going to keep the steroid guys out, you have to keep that line straight with guys who do other things off the field. I say Cannon. Get rid of him in the Hall. I mean, listen, the Hall of Fame is not everything. You know, it's not the measuring stick for being great. I don't think. You know, it's kind of a separate entity from Major League Baseball, if you will. But yeah, I think the Hall of Fame should hold themselves accountable to keeping people in or keeping people out who carry themselves the right way and are good, as Bosman loves to say, human beings. 4 or 5 times every episode. But no, I agree, dude. Yeah, he's clearly a trash person. Always has been, as long as we've known about him. And I don't say that with any hesitance. He's proven to not be a good person. And I don't think he deserves a spot in the Hall of Fame. I don't think he deserves a spot in baseball. I'm not really going to compare him to Pete Rose or anybody else, but objectively, Roberto Alomar is not a good human, and he should not be honored as such. He should not be honored for his, baseball accolades when he couldn't handle himself off the field and has clearly proven he can't to this day.
What does that say about the Hall of Fame, though, that you say it's not the measuring stick? Because I agree. And would you agree it's not the measuring stick? And I have a point behind the question.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they get everything right.
But shouldn't they? They are the Hall of Fame of baseball. And it is the most renowned enshrinement in sports that consistently gets things wrong.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I guess my point is, yes, it is a measuring stick to some. But you could still be a great player. You could still have a great career. You could still, do everything that you're capable of doing in the game and not even come close to being a Hall of Famer. There's so many guys out there that don't have all the ability, but they grind for years in the league and they stick around, and the Hall of Fame is an afterthought for them. But they should have all the respect in the world, and they go on to be good managers or have a place in the game or whatever. So, yes, Hall of Fame, the greatest of the greatest are in the Hall of Fame. But I don't think it should be like the measuring stick no one grows up saying, I want to be in the Hall of Fame. They grow up and say, I want to be a great Major League Baseball player. Sure. And I could be wrong there, but...
I know one kid who says that, but out of all the kids that we know, I know one kid that says that.
I mean, I never said that growing up. I just said I wanted to be a major leaguer.
Yeah, man. I wanted to be a college baseball player, and then
I just wanted to be a high school baseball player. I knew my limitations.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you for entertaining my passion on that, because I'm not thrilled, and we can talk every episode about my issues with the Hall of Fame in baseball.
Yeah, we talk a lot about the Hall, but
we have in the first 3 episodes. Yeah. It's a good topic.
It's relevant right now because of Alomar. But Aaron, what are your thoughts there?
I think the Hall of Fame has to concretely draw a line with where they stand. They can't be wishy-washy on this stuff. Are we going to draw a line where we take into consideration people as players and who they are as people? Or are we not going to consider that at all?
Yeah.
Obviously, one is the right direction to take. The other is the wrong direction to take. I'm not the Hall of Fame. I don't make those decisions. But you cannot be both. You can't be both sides of the table. You can't put in one guy and then stuff comes out about him and then just keep him in and then do the opposite with another guy. You have to draw a straight line and you have to stick to it and you have to hold yourselves accountable to those decisions, because no matter what decision you make, there's going to be podcasts like this that disagree with you. So whether you're right or wrong, you have to commit to what you're doing as the Hall of Fame. Personally speaking, this man should be thrown out of the Hall of Fame, right? Because there is a difference between sexual misconduct and not wanting to sign a baseball for a young boy after the game.
Yeah.
Okay? There is a difference. I understand that. Both not good, but one not good at all and not allowed and should be way more repercussions than just not being removed from the Hall of Fame, right? Way more repercussions. That's not even a baseball issue anymore. It's like, let's listen to these women. What do they have to say? Believe everything they have to say, and then take it to people who can investigate further, right? But if you have to figure out what line you want to be, and the people in the Hall of Fame have to figure that out. And you have to talk about the steroid issue as well. Because just because they took steroids it sort of makes them unethical, right? Because they cheated, right? But that was part of the era then. So there has to be a definitive line about who you are as the Hall of Fame, what you stand for, what you believe in, and what your values are. Not just this guy hit 100 home runs in a season, so he's the best player of all time. He's in the Hall of Fame. I don't care what he does besides that. Boom, boom, bang. Okay? That's what I think.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I think this group collectively, whether we like it or not, we lean towards the Hall of Ethics, and that's fine with me. I'll stand on that rock.
I do.
You have to maintain a certain level of ethics.
I only lean that way because I would love to see Barry Bonds in the Hall of Fame.
He's my favorite baseball player of all time.
I would love to.
But I'm not mad that he's not in the Hall of Fame.
Sure.
He did some things that aren't good.
Yeah.
He was mean to me twice when I was a young boy. Twice. Okay? But that doesn't whatever, right? But I don't know what else he did in his personal life. I don't know who he is as a person at all. I just know he was a good baseball player. Yes. Probably the best to ever play. But does it bother me that he's not in the Hall of Fame? No, not really. Because if the Hall of Fame is going to draw a line like that, then I'm happy that they're going to stick to it and commit to that.
Yep.
And that's important to me, that you're going to stand up for your values and not let people in if this is what your value system is. But allowing this to just happen and stay enshrined is not standing up for what you believe in. It's not holding yourself accountable. It's not standing up to the values that you set precedent for.
And I do want to point out that to be a Major League Baseball player, they do look at the ethics. They do look at who you were on and off the field. Were you ethical? Were you decent? Were you a great baseball player? Did you play the minimum number of games, which I think is 2,000, 1,000? I think it's 1,000 games is their minimum. But ethics are a piece of what they look at.
For the Hall?
For the Hall of Fame, yes.
You said to play in the big leagues. I was going to say.
I apologize. No.
Yeah.
No, for the Hall of Fame, I apologize.
I mean, speaking to the same point, right? To be an amazing player, it means you make the people around you better, right? There's intangibles, right? And that also goes to your character and your personal values and how you hold yourself, because you're inspiring the other people around you to be better. And that's also has to be taken into consideration when you're talking about someone specifically for the Hall of Fame. And then so the Hall of Fame has to take those things into consideration as well, because that's what values they uphold, because that's what they expect the values of the people who are going to be the Hall of Fame have to uphold.
Yep.
Make sense?
Yep.
Everyone cool with that?
Yep. Agreed.
Great. Can I have another beer, please?
Yeah, and I hope you hear this, Roberto.
Yeah, me too.
Bastard.
Give a shout out to our favorite YouTube channel.
Yes, you can. And a break from our sponsor.
Jackson Radcliffe. If you were not a current subscriber to Jackson Radcliffe's podcast, to a YouTube channel, do it. He just came out with a beautiful video of Gen Z be like, and it is a riot for all of you parents who don't know the lingo of your kids. I certainly don't, and I'm learning. And if you are a kid watching this and you don't like and subscribe, then shame on you. You're a square.
Jackson Radcliffe, we were absolutely entertained by your video. Very well done.
Thorough videos.
Excellent.
Very well
Excellent
done.
content.
Fantastic.
For those that don't know who that is, he's a player on Bodson and I's team. He's an excellent kid. He's very, very entertaining.
Can we talk about that play he made real quick?
Yeah, we're gonna run into that.
So don't talk about it yet?
Not yet.
Okay.
But I think we've touched on the major points we wanted to hit on episode 3. So that's awesome. So the way we're gonna kind of end each pod is to give an update.
Next week?
No, we're gonna talk about it now.
Cool.
Just not the runner on second thing, because we talked a lot already.
Yeah, fair.
But we're going to talk about how our teams are doing, some updates from the weekends, and a few things that we want to talk about from what happened on our respective weekends. So,
Sander,
you want to start? You got a few stories.
you had a good first day.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a good weekend. I always talk about turning the corner. We are absolutely turning the corner. We played really well on Saturday. We played 2 teams that we should have beat, and we beat them both, which I was really excited. Just proud of my guys. We needed a couple wins. We needed to get that confidence back. A couple wins under our belt, so that was great. So we ended up getting the 1 seed. We're playing the same tournament as these guys. We ended up the 1 seed going into Sunday, which allowed us a bye. So we didn't have to play in the quarterfinal. We went straight to the semifinal, and we ultimately got beat by a team we played before. We got killed by them the first time we played them, and we played them really close on Sunday, but lost to them. Pitching was great all weekend. Struggled a little bit at the plate, just overall, and Sunday really just killed us. They had some guys that were just lights out, painting corners. And so, it's disappointing, but we certainly saw improvement on Sunday, which leads me to my interesting stories. I think this is worth talking about.
This is absolutely worth a mention.
Ridiculous stuff. So, long story short, this is not going to be a short story, but
long story long.
Long story short, the tournament director got an email from me on Monday, and I'm not a big...
Did he respond?
I'm not a big... No response. No response yet.
So you said on Monday, today's a Wednesday.
It's only Wednesday, so I'll give him, a couple more days. And then,
I've been busy with the tournament stuff.
Yeah.
I get it.
And I don't know how closely he is, I don't know how close he is to, each individual tournament. He's the director of, the Texas NCS is what it's called, I think, tournaments. Anyways, I sent him a lengthy email, which I BCC'd Bodson on, just for entertainment purposes. And I'm not a big complainer. I don't get on to umpires much. These guys get paid $35 a game. They're not professional umpires. I told my guys that, these guys are going to make mistakes. They're humans. But the issues that I had were not baseball issues. They weren't necessarily balls and strikes issues or, missed calls necessarily. The first day, we show up, we have a coaches meeting at the plate before every game, and we've got 1 umpire. So the guy behind the plate says, I don't know where the other guy is. He's late, whatever. So I'm like, yeah, we're good with that. Just like make calls, get in position, whatever.
Which, for reference, real quick, this was our home plate umpire. For
the young guy. He was kind of tatted out.
No, I'm talking about.
Oh,
the
you
guy
guys had
the guy
the
you
late
had
guy
issue
behind the
with.
plate, yeah.
Is the guy that was behind our plate for our games.
So, anyways, he ends up showing up in like the second or third inning, and
I didn't know that. He literally wasn't there for the first inning.
no, he was not there to start the game.
He got paid probably.
Yeah. So we beat the team, I think 6-1. Excuse me. But going into like the last inning, we were the home team. No, I'm sorry, we were the visiting team. So we're on a time limit, 13 U's. Saturday's usually an hour and a half. So we're going into the last inning, and basically all we had to do was hold them. We had 7 minutes left on the clock, going into the bottom of this last inning in theory, and we had to expire basically 7 minutes to get 3 outs. When I had a kid on the mound, I was like, "Hey, dude, just go pitch." I'm not the type to like do a mound visit or have anybody stall just so we don't have to play another inning. I think that's Bush League. It's stupid. Just go play the game, and if we end up having to play another inning, so be it. We should beat them. So, of course, we get 3 outs in like 4 minutes. And shout out Colt Hare.
Colt Hare, baby.
Just,
out of kid. Way to go get him, dude. Way to go get him.
And the field umpire, who was the guy that was late, had told me before that inning, he's like, "Hey, you just got 7 minutes. Most half innings take 7 minutes.
Yeah.
He's like, you got 7 innings. 7 minutes." So I'm like, okay, sure. I send the guys out to get 3 outs, whatever. Well, he comes straight over to my dugout and he says, "Dude, I just told you we had 7 minutes left. Now we got 3 minutes. We got to start another inning." Jesus Christ! Like, he was animated, and I was caught off guard. I thought he was kidding. And so I took a step back. I was like, okay, I don't know what's going on. And I ultimately said, "Dude, are you mad at me? Are you mad that I didn't stall, that I didn't take a mound visit, that I didn't tell my guys to slow down to expire the clock?" And he walks away with this bad attitude. And it took everything I had to not say, "Dude, you were freaking late to this game. Don't give me crap."
We're just on overtime for you now.
So anyways, that was my first complaint. That was bullet number 1 in my email. Ugh. The second complaint was actually balls and strikes or out calls. We actually have a dad on our team who films all the games, and he volunteers. He sets up the camera, and it's really cool because we get a condensed game highlight after every game.
Oh,
so our guys can go back, and
who does that for you?
Whitaker.
Can we take Whitaker from you?
Yeah, so so if we have a cool player or whatever, these kids can grab that footage and throw it on Instagram or whatever. It's pretty cool. It's
awesome.
But we also get replays of bad calls, and I don't really watch a ton of them. I like to see our wins and whatnot, but we had one particular call that really changed the trajectory of the game, I thought, and it was a blatant missed call, where it was the throw was offline at first. Our first baseman caught it and stepped back on the bag, clearly beat the runner, and it was just a blown call. And we got screenshots of him beating it or whatever. I didn't argue. I went out there, called time, and said, "Hey, can we get another look from the other umpire?" They didn't change the call. Wasn't mad about it, but the behind the plate umpire. So there was that call, and the behind the plate umpire, or the plate umpire, the young guy. He just kind of had a weird bad attitude the whole time.
I said 2 words to him in our game, by the way.
Yeah, he was just not a very cool dude.
Yeah.
His zone was just whack. And standing from the third base coaching box, I'm very hesitant to argue balls and strikes. Because that guy should have a better look, whatever. Yep. But I could tell from there, he was ringing us up on some horrible pitches, outside by a foot. And so, anyways, that's bullet number 2. Just missed calls, blatant missed calls. We've got footage, and these guys were just pretty bad. The third point is same guy that was behind the plate. Every call that that our parents would say anything about, I have pretty strict. I guess I tell them "Hey guys, we're not going to be rednecks and argue calls the whole game or whatever and yell at the umpires handle yourselves." And then
this is still day 1 of this day 2.
This is day 2.
Okay, so it's different umpires.
Well, in general, just be kind. These guys are humans or whatever. Don't don't say anything, don't be loud or whatever. But our parents, every once in a while, come on, like that, that was us outside. Yeah. They're parents. They're going to. They want the best for the kids.
For the kids, absolutely.
Every single time anyone said anything, and this includes the third base or the other team's coach from Game 2 on Saturday, they were arguing the whole game. Every time there was a question called,
yes,
this guy would stand back from his perch behind the plate and like stare people down. Jeez. Parents, the other coaches, and it was nothing short of what we would call the ump show. Like, he just wanted to know that he was in charge. He wanted everyone to know he was in charge, and nobody can say anything to him.
Sure.
He didn't have a problem with me, but he was just bad. Well, I guess at some point during the game on Sunday, sorry, I'm rambling.
Keep going.
I'm fired up about it.
Let's go.
I hope he hears this. I hope he listens to this. At some point during the game, a female in our stands, in our crowd, who happened to be who happened to share the same last name as me, my wife. He was turned around in between innings, like kind of staring at her. And I don't know if there was any witnesses, but she told me she's not gonna lie about something like this. He was just like staring directly at her, and she was not far from where he was standing. And she was like, "Okay, what's this guy looking at?" And he stared at her for no less than like 10, 15 seconds, and then he said, "Peekaboo."
What?
He said peekaboo, and then turned around. She was like, she was just straight creeped out.
That is
so that was weird. Like, and in the email, I said the words, "What a creep."
What a creep. I texted you immediately when I saw that. I was like, fudge.
All right. So the final thing. This is like part of point 3. Was after the game we lost. I think we lost 6-0. He was clearly like upset with our parents. They didn't really do anything wrong. But he was just, I guess, fired up. And he turns around immediately after the game and says, "All right, have a good trip home." Like, clearly sarcastic, clearly taunting our parents. And not only did he say it once, he said it twice. And I have multiple witnesses. Like, this guy, there's no question this guy was just being a dick. And so I think that warranted an email. I hope I don't have to do that again this year.
Absolutely.
But and I said in the email, I was like, I hope this guy doesn't get fired, but please don't rehire him to do any more of your terms. Well, either of those guys, because there was 2 separate guys. We had those guys for all of our games. But
yeah, I have some things I would like to say to those umpires, but I just don't.
Yeah. So, anyways, bad umpiring experience. Great weekend, baseball wise. Really proud of our guys. We got this weekend off for Mother's Day.
Good for you, man.
And yeah, it just happened to be a weekend.
You're a nicer coach than I am.
Yeah, I didn't even know it was Mother's Day. But but yeah, I think we're definitely turning a corner. I'm really excited to see what the rest of the season looks like for us. We got a really good crew, pumped for them, and I think we've got some wins ahead of us. Yeah, baby.
Good for you, man.
Team Standard. Let's go, boys. Coach Bodson. First, I want you to take a large, deep breath.
No, I don't need it.
Come on, large, deep breath.
I'm good.
And let's talk about our team a little bit.
Bueno.
Let's talk about our team a little bit. You talk, and then maybe I'll listen, maybe I'll interject.
I'm probably going to let you do a lot of the talking here. Not great. I think anytime, and if you're a youth baseball coach, especially at 13U, it's what motivates a 13-year-old. I know when I was 13, you just don't care that much. You're just going to walk away. Cool. All right, see you later, man.
Sanders taking a pee break.
Yep. Cool. All right, see you later. Hate that guy, by the way.
I like him a lot.
No, he's not here.
He's one of my favorite people.
His wife makes an incredible burger.
Yeah, Ryan's great.
But he can just get lost.
Okay.
Anyway, I'm just kidding. Sandra, I love you. So,
what about our team, man?
Yeah, I was not a huge fan of our performance.
Wait, hold on, sorry. You're on a point about youth baseball coaches and motivating 13-year-olds. Let's talk about that first.
Can we edit this?
What?
Can we edit all that?
No.
All right, cool.
We're live, baby.
All right, cool.
We're not live, but unedited. No, I think you're going to make a good point there about 13-year-old and youth baseball coaches.
It's very hard to figure out how to motivate a 13-year-old kid. And when I was 13 years old, I mean, I didn't have a whole lot of self-confidence. I didn't have a whole lot of self-worth. And it was really, hey, I missed you. It was really tough to stay motivated when I was 13 years old. So to be a coach of a 13-year-old, I love every second of it, but it really does challenge you to stay motivated and as a coach and keep your kids motivated as well. So that rolls into this this game. At one point this season, we were 5-7. Things were going well. We were turning a corner, as you like to say, Sander.
I like that saying.
I do too. And things were going well, and then we are, snapping. We're on a 6-game losing streak right now. We lost our first game of that streak in the semifinals a few weeks ago against a really solid team. Drew Malden, who's becoming a friend of mine as the weeks go by, has a solid squad. It's a AAA squad, and we lost them. Then we go to Oklahoma City. We talked about that last week. Had a really tough weekend there. I think baseball wasn't on the mind of the kids. This past weekend, there were, the thought is we're in a AAA tournament last weekend. We're in the same tournament as y'all. We played 2 of the 3 teams we played were AA. The first team we played, we lost to probably the best game we played, honestly. I think we still got run ruled, but it was the best game we played. Of the weekend on Saturday. Game 2 and 3, we played against a average at best AA team. No disrespect to the coach. I think he knew that too. He talked to me about it before the game. His team hasn't won very many games, and we lost to them. And then we played the last seed on Sunday, and we lost to them Saturday. What it came down to really was lack of effort. I felt bad for the parents after Saturday. I said, well, the parents entrust me as their coach of their 13-year-old kids to get a performance out of them. And then we all come out there on Saturday and we watch a performance. And I'm a huge believer, coaches who are listening, I'm a huge believer, we don't really have to talk a ton. We want to correct certain things. Parents shouldn't talk at all during the game. It's performance. We work really hard, 2, 3, 4 practices a week to make sure these kids are ready. And they're either ready or not. And this past weekend, I felt like they weren't. And I walked away Saturday just thinking, my God, what am I doing wrong? Because I felt bad for the parents. How much, for the parents who are listening to this, select baseball isn't the most affordable thing in the world. And, what are you paying for if you're coming out here and your kids are playing like this? And I told the kids that. I said, listen, this is not how you should play baseball. At the end of the day, have some pride in who you are and what you're trying to do here, and play the game and try to win. Because game 1, sure, we lost to a AAA team. Game 2, my God, that was a rough game to be part of. At least in game 3, where we got run ruled by the last seed of a tournament, we didn't look at the baseball. We couldn't adjust the plate, and we lost 11-1. But we actually swung the bat, and there was effort there. We just didn't perform very well. And I couldn't be too upset about that. But that second game Saturday is a game we should have won, and we looked at the baseball. We didn't hustle it down the line. We didn't hustle to the ball. And there's one play specifically, we gave a shout out to Jackson Radcliffe earlier. The game was out of balance at this point. The bats weren't going. Full disclosure, my team has scored 5 runs in the last 5 games. Does not help if you've been a coach of a youth team or if you've watched a baseball game in your entire life. Playing baseball, you score 5 runs in 5 games, you're probably not winning a ton. And to point that out, we did not get shut out in any of them. So that tells you anything. We got shut out in 1, which means we scored 2 in one of them. So we have that going for us. But Jackson Radcliffe, bases loaded, 1 out, 1-2 count.
He's pitching.
He's pitching, and he threw a fastball. Probably hung it a little bit. The hitter got every piece of the bat of the ball that he could have gotten, and it hit Jackson right back in the forearm. And if you've ever been hit by a comebacker to the mound in the forearm, it doesn't feel good. You probably, at that age especially, don't have a whole lot of use of your arm anymore. This kid threw his left glove on the ground, picked the ball up, because it bounced off his right arm, so it was dead on the ground on the mound, picked the ball up, and he threw it, like 2 hopped it to first base to get the out. And then the umpire calls time. We all go out there. He's holding his arm, comes out of the game. And it's like, oh my God.
But he got the out.
You got the out. Now we got runners in second and third, 2 outs. Jackson, if you're watching this, throw home, dude. What are you not throwing home for? There's a force out of home. I'm kidding. It was an incredible play to see. And it was as a coach who was upset all weekend about hustle and effort. To see that happen, I was like, oh my God. That's the only thing I can point to the entire weekend. I was like, okay, at least somebody wants to win the game right now, because that kid just threw his left glove on the ground. He's like, all right, I'm going to 2-hop it. We're going to get the out. In the way he did it, too, he's like, I can't freaking believe this just happened. Okay, I'm out. I'm like, okay, that's awesome.
If only you guys had Matt Whitaker filming your games, man.
Yeah, if only.
That means Radcliffe could have put that on his new YouTube video.
Oh my God.
He would have got his 5 likes and up to his 60 subs.
Yeah, well, I was his 59th sub today.
I'll be a 60th.
Deal. Okay, he could have been at 65 though. So, moral of the story is on May 5th, on May 5th, 2021, I'm at a crossroads with my team of, do you want to play the game of baseball? And if you are a kid who's listening to this podcast, it really comes down to it. You're laughing. But if you've seen these kids practice, and you have, but last night we come to practice and we're on a 6-game slide with 5 games and 5 runs in 5 games, and they're not taking it seriously. And it's like, listen, if you don't want to play, it's okay to not want to play the game. I've been there. When I was 13 years old, I quit baseball. Fun fact. Because I put so much pressure on myself and the coaches put so much pressure on me, I just decided not to play for a year. And I came back at 14. It's not for everybody, but man, it's tough as a coach to figure out how to motivate 13-year-old kids. And I can only imagine, I know from experience, it's tough as a 13-year-old kid to stay motivated. But all it takes is effort. I could care less about wins and losses. Just don't give me lack of effort. Because you do that, what are we coming out there for? And I hope I wasn't too crass in my description. I talked some smack about you when you left. Other than that, that was how my weekend went. And I'm really hopeful of that practice tomorrow, May 6th, and our May 8th and May 9th games go better, because my gosh, we need it.
So you guys pulled an 8 a.m. Nice.
I requested an 8 a.m.
Here's a funny one. And I'll let you talk, Aaron. I'm sorry.
It's all good, man. I'm just here for the good time, baby.
We've had every single tournament so far, except for one. Mm-hmm. We've had Saturday 8 a.m. games.
I love it.
And I do not request 8 a.m. games.
No?
I told my guys the other day, listen, I'm a 29-year-old male who enjoys a beverage or two on a Friday night. You actually think I enjoy waking up at 5:30 for your 8 a.m. Saturday games? Because one of my guys is questioning me, or a couple of my guys are like, Coach, are you requesting these 8 a.m. games?
Can I take a guess?
No, they literally said, Coach Aaron said that you can request later games. I'm like, you think I'm requesting these early games? And I know the parents don't love it, but I just kind of let the cards fall where they are. I don't know why we're getting all these 8 a.m. games, but whatever. At least we're done with the games by noon or whatever, and everyone can enjoy the rest of their day. But yeah, these guys think I'm requesting these early games. Dude, I have as hard a time as anybody getting out of bed in the morning.
But I love being done by noon on a Saturday.
Yeah, it's great, but I'm not going to request. I'm not going to request just so I can go play golf.
Oh, no shot. I do have things to do in the afternoon on Saturday, so I requested it. So listen, I know, but I do enjoy. This is so corny. I enjoy watching the sunrise over the field.
Why is that corny? I think it's beautiful.
I'm just talking because he's
find
a way to make fun of me for it.
Well, we got a good mix of vibe then.
No, I am a huge fan of getting there 20 minutes before the kids, before the rush starts, with a cup of coffee, before Aaron, before you're my assistant, my AirPods in, and just watching the sunrise over the field.
I mean, be my guest, man. Throw those AirPods in.
Yeah, and just drinking my coffee.
Whatever gets you in the vibe, bro.
Field.
Do you listen to Enya?
No, no. I usually listen to listen to Mudvayne and Korn on the way to games. I get after it.
Nice. I've been giving one of my guys, he lives around the corner from me, a ride to the games. Shout out Reed. So his parents don't have to.
Oh yeah, because he's a Richardson school district. Right?
Yeah, and I'm like, Reed, you can ride with me as much as you want, but we're listening to country music. And he's like, all right, coach.
Let's go.
Throw on some Enya for him.
Yeah, I don't know if he likes my music or not, but he just sits there and has a good time.
Throw some Phoebe Bridges on, see what he does.
Yeah, I should really like throw in some like super like vulgar rap stuff and see how he reacts.
He probably knows all the words.
Yeah, no doubt. I don't even know what they listen to anymore. Bad Bunny.
I think that's it because my shout out Lula Cifuentes, my fiance, her 22-year-old sister listens to Bad Bunny a lot, and she's hashtag Gen Z.
Nice. One of my guys, you know the boom boxes we hit on last week or the week before? The obnoxious like...
Halfway through a game, by the way, that second game on Saturday, halfway through it when they got a comfortable like 4-run lead and we didn't get any hits, they threw the boom box on.
Yeah.
That pissed me off.
So there was a boom box going the game before us on Sunday, and we were like watching before we went on the field, and one of my guys turns around and goes, "Hey coach, did you have a walk-up song?" And like I was like, "Yeah, I had a walk-up song, like in college, whatever." He goes, "What was your walk-up song?" And I had to think for a second, and I was like, "Oh God." It's like, well, my last one was Freaky Girl by Gucci Mane. Nice. They were like, oh no, I don't even know what that is, but so.
Well, what was your walk-up song? Because I love mine.
As a baseball player or as a professional wrestler?
As a baseball player.
Both.
My senior year of college, it was Money in the Power by Kid Ink.
Nice.
Yeah. This is a jam.
I know that one. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I liked that one.
Mine was Get Down With The Sickness by Disturbed.
I don't remember what it was. Mine it was in high school, and I don't remember what.
I thought that's what you're talking about.
No, I played Division I baseball.
It's not an episode of A Chance to Just. It doesn't talk about how we played D1 baseball.
Hey man, I rarely talk throughout these episodes, so when I do, I gotta put myself over.
Mine was Disturbed, which honestly is my favorite thing about my fiance is that. Well, the beat's in Disturbed on the radio, and she'll just start like belting it out. I'm like, this is why I'm marrying you. Love you, Lulu.
Do we have any other last minute thoughts, comments, concerns, questions, funny stories?
Coaches, we're here for the kids. Kids, we're here for you. Give us effort, we'll give you effort, and that's what it's all about.
He's charging them. He's like, dude, if you're listening to this, we gotta get going.
Oh, yeah, I'm not a very happy coach right now. That's for sure.
I think as the assistant coach of this team that Bodson is talking about, we really want to just jeez, bro. We really just want to see like some intensity in the way you play the game. Like I want to see people diving for baseballs. I don't want to see you get down with 2 strikes, but when you do get down with 2 strikes, inevitably it's going to happen. I want to see you foul off 5 or 6 balls and get the count to a 3-2. It doesn't matter if you get out or don't get out there or get hit or get out with there. That means you just like we're competing in that AB, you know, and things like that nature. Like you hit a ground ball to the shortstop and you're sprinting all the way through the line, no matter what, if you think it's routine or not. Like these things matter and they make a difference in your overall performance as a ball player. Because whether you believe it or not, the universe or the baseball gods, however you want to put it, someone's watching you and someone's seeing you respect the game or not respect the game. And the way you perform there is how it's going to be in the rest of your life, whether you're going to be a gritty performer, whether you're going to stick your feet into the ground when things get tough and decide that I'm going to push through this. And that's why you have a team around you, right? To link arms, to say that we can't do anything great alone, but we can do something great together. And that's what we're looking for as coaches, and that's what I talk about a lot with my clients and with my team as well. That's what happens, because inevitably things are going to go bad and things are going to go wrong. But how do you overcome those things? How do you overcome those challenges? Like, what are you going to do about it? Are you going to say to yourselves in the group text, in the group chat with your team, like, guys, we can do this? Who's going to step up as a leader? What kind of intensity are you going to bring to the ballpark, even if we have to be there at 7 a.m. and the field's a little wet and it's kind of cold still, you know? How are you going to adjust to those environments, or a pitcher is throwing different than you're used to? Like, these are things that have to happen, and they're going to happen over time, and it's really hard to ask of you as a 13-year-old, but we're asking of you that now because we know that we can kind of pull this greatness out of you. And that's how I feel. But also, I'm in a learning curve as well as a person who is coaching 13-year-old boys for the first time in my life, sometimes my language doesn't resonate because I'm not used to the way that you respond to things. So I'm also at a learning curve as well. So don't think it's just you guys, if the team is listening or any coach is listening, right? It's just, we're all in a learning curve. We're all trying to adjust to the circumstances that we've been put in. And we're all enjoying what we're doing so much that we care to almost to a fault, that it's like almost weighing us down in some of our other areas of our life. But it's all an adjustment process and trying to figure out what works and what doesn't work. And some things aren't going to stick. I'm just throwing shit against the wall, and some of it's sticking really well and some of it's falling right to the floor. And so it's all just a process of kind of discovering who we are as a team and who we are as a unit and who we are as coaches and how we work together and how we work well with you guys or whoever, what's happening. I'm just using a personal example, but that's kind of my take on the whole thing.
It's a good take. It's a great take.
Yeah.
Probably a great way to end it, too.
And I think it's the perfect way to end it. And so we will discuss Andrew McCutchen, right?
McCutchen.
On episode 4.
Guys, I know somebody.
Okay, that's enough. We will discuss Andrew McCutchen on episode 4, Hall of Fame or not, so do your research. We will also discuss another preview for episode 4 will be the new Major League rule with extra innings, guy on second. We're going to debate that. And also, if you have any suggestions for what we want to talk about or who should we talk about, comment, DM us, give us some feedback. We love to. We're trying to get better.
Like and subscribe.
Yeah,
us and Jackson Radcliffe, please.
Right, we're not perfect podcasters, but we want to get there. And we appreciate you watching. Go watch some baseball.
Tell your friends.
Tell your friends about it. Share with a friend.
Another no-hitter today, by the way.
Another no-hitter today. Oh, Michael, what?
Oh, yeah, talk about that.
Orioles.
Okay, so we will also
third strike away from a perfect game.
We will also talk about the first no-hitter that happened in May in Major League Baseball. We will talk about it on episode 4. New episodes come out every Thursday on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Anchor, all the good stuff. Cheers. Thank you. Have a good night.
Hey,
we love
shout
you.
out Spencer Shedler.
Oh, Jesus. Cheers.
Cheers.